Tonight, Christina Carswell hosts an all-new episode of The Lounge. The following program may contain mature material some viewers may not find suitable. Viewer discretion is advised.
It's The Lounge with Christina Carswell. Tonight, Christina welcomes Alex, also known as Axel, from the channel Swath, Sarah from the channel Lyra Kylarin, and Sean, a professional QA video game tester. And now, here's your host, Christina Carswell.
Welcome to The Lounge on TOONDISE from the channel Lyra Kylarin. I'm Sarah Whittle. Joining me today, we have our usual host, Christina. From Swath, from Swath, we have Axel.
Yo-ho!
And our gamer dude, Sean.
Y'all know what it is.
And I got through that.
I like how me and Axel were just like, we're pirates, yar.
Yar,
and then Scott's just like, yo.
Oh, actually, speaking of pirates, I was thinking today's subject subject of topic.
Okay.
Apparently, that's what my brain was saying. If you could choose any era to live in and where would it be and fuck?
When and where would it be?
When and where would it be?
We're
right
off
now.
to a good start with the new host. Why did we change this shit? I hate change.
Well,
You're from the 1980s.
Reagan!
It'll end up boosting my score a significant portion into the lead just because of further than ahead than I am from last week and my little undertones of fuckity fuck.
Oh
Yeah.
no! Oh no! I put a token in the jar. Oh! What have I done?
But yeah, let's go with Axel first. Where would you go and what era would it be if you could choose?
See, I've intrigued you with my smooth voice. Yes.
Your soothed, chocolatey voice.
Chapped, yes.
Oh,
I don't know what chapped voice sounds like. Oh, but anywhere. Well, let me take you on a great voyage, the most wonderful place of all, the center of the earth. Yes, down in its luscious, extremely hot and high-pressure zone. It would be like any average workplace, honestly. But awesome, because everything's on fire.
Shots fired.
So you'd be dead, is what
No.
I'm getting.
Yeah, have you seen the average office worker? You'd be fired.
Yeah,
Oh.
I'm pretty
What up,
good.
Tess?
So you'd go to the center of the earth?
Why not? I mean, if that movie is anything to believe, it's supposed to be a giant jungle down there with an ocean.
Oh yeah, Journey to the
Facing-
Center of the Earth.
Yes.
I actually have never seen that movie.
Wait, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, Journey to the Center of the Earth.
The one with
I have
Brendan
such an
Fraser,
uncultured
or the one
swine.
with The Rock?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. There's two. The Rock did the
They're
remake.
direct sequels, but then they just replaced Brendan Fraser with The Rock.
Was he portrayed as an actual rock in that one?
I don't know. I
should
didn't
have
see
done.
that one. Just know it had The Rock in it.
There's like dinosaurs down there. Oh,
Oh,
actually,
I see you ate the magical mushrooms down here. Yes, they make you hallucinate well-known wrestlers.
if you go, there's this cult. I can't remember the name of it, but they believe that there's like a race of superhumans living below the surface who, oh my goodness,
Mole people?
No. It's like these superhuman elf-like people who the Aryans are supposedly descended from.
Oh, now the Aryans are elf-like. Okay.
Oh, I'm trying to remember what the group's name was. I actually
This
knew
isn't
that.
Hellboy, is it?
It's not from a movie, is it?
No.
No. I actually knew someone who actually was part of this cult who actually had the little
Sarah, you need new friends.
book.
Yeah.
She was never a friend. She was never a friend. She was a girlfriend of a friend. Actually, she was a girlfriend of a classmate back in college, and he begged and pleaded to let her crash on my couch for a little while she got back on her feet. Then
Wait, that was the crazy girl.
Yeah, Tamara. Ooh,
Sarah.
Whatever.
Sarah.
One name dropping. Just don't name her fully.
Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah, I've told you about her, Chi. She was the demon-worshipping Nazi with a collection of about 100 some odd dildos who was into BDSM.
That's not a bad deal.
Wow,
it's not a bad deal. I mean, hey, if you're that into BDSM, 100 dildos is like the bare minimum, really.
Can you
really a
fit
collection
that many
at that point.
dildos?
You don't have to use them all at once.
Are you
No?
sure?
Maybe
She's into it.
maybe
With
like
flesh-
5. But like,
Added thing, she was also into bestiality as well.
Oh boy.
that's a whole different bag.
Yeah, that's a whole different bag. But she had
Let's
this.
talk about where we want to live and when.
Oh yeah, back to the
Derail. This is what happens when Chi doesn't lead us. We don't know anything.
You're our
Back in the
compass.
corner.
Why did you?
That's why I led you back to the goddamn topic.
This is what happens when you get the fucking inmates running the asylum.
What's
Or an
Mr. J
Arkham.
doing?
Well, since you brought us back on the topic, where and when would you choose?
When and where?
Yeah.
Realistically, right now, right in my house, because every single history point for women is not a good one. Unless maybe, I don't know,
No.
maybe like ancient Sparta.
Yeah,
where
ancient Greek
women
and
were-
Rome were pretty good.
Yeah, I guess those times wouldn't be that bad, just filled with endless sex and parties. I guess that
Yeah.
would be cool.
Just before the Dark Age.
Oh, we know where her priorities lie.
Hey, sex and partying, I'm go for that too.
I mean, yeah, who
I
wouldn't?
was actually
Not really cool with throwing up my food, but I guess, if everyone else is doing it.
Hey, vomitoriums are a misnomer. They are named that because they spewed people out of the stadiums. That's why they're
Anyways.
called that.
I don't know, anywhere where women's rights were quite progressive. So, like, Sparta is one of them that you can think of. Although, like, this is all based off just our knowledge of it. Like,
Understanding,
if I
yeah.
lived back in the day, like, it might actually be different. But you'll never know. But I guess that's my answer. Either realistically, today and now. But if I can go back for, like, a day, probably ancient Sparta. That would be cool.
Yeah.
Become a like female warrior. Oh, kick some ass.
My thoughts are along this a similar vein, except for mine's more Norse aligned rather than Latin aligned.
You'd be a female Viking.
Oh hell yeah! Go down with the Viking sword and shield. Go
Pray to
down
Freya. Freya
Yeah.
will guide you. Fuck Odin, you need Freya.
Call the Valkyries down for when I fall in battle, and go to Valhalla and just feast, party, and slay things all day, and then everything's back to life, and you just do this wash and repeat. I'd be game for that. Blood, meat, and alcohol.
So, Sean, where would you go?
I would go into the future, because fuck the past.
But there are many
I didn't
futures.
think of that.
Exactly. So therefore, I just vaguely say the future, and I'm gonna leave it at that. Yay! Cop out!
If you couldn't go in the future and you had to choose somewhere in the past.
I had to go back in time?
Yeah.
I would go to
But for, like, a
yesterday.
Why yesterday?
Because then I'm in the present, because I still wouldn't go anywhere in the past.
Hold on, if you choose to go yesterday, would that put you into like a groundhog cycle?
No, because
you go the next day, and
no,
then
am I
because
forced
the
to
topic
always-
comes up again?
But am I always forced to? Because technically, I could go back to yesterday and minutely change my life in small details to then the point where I don't have to do this shit.
But what if it's not you though? Like, let's say, for example, instead of regaining consciousness of the day before, it's actually your physical self going there, which means that you have two.
So it's like some sort of quantum break conundrum.
Yeah.
In that case, I would tell myself to get off my lazy ass, but it doesn't matter, because then if you're proposing a time travel paradox where the next day I would still go back in time and see myself, then that means the past version would become the present version, which would then go into the past, which would become the future version of myself, which would tell the past present version of myself, which would then become the future version. So if if you're trying to talk to me about quantum physics and circular time theory, you're really debating the wrong person here. Because nothing what I would say...
Would you do that, or would you try to get a complimentary hand job from yourself? In which case, in that same situation,
but then that just leads to the question: if you just directly clone, no, because there would only exist. There would only exist only exist 2 copies of myself at that point. If you're creating a time delineation, as in today, and as today I go back to yesterday, then there will be a yesterday version and the today version yesterday. So then, therefore, there will ever only be 2 copies of myself, because then, like I said, the yesterday version of myself would then come to today and then go back in time. I would then cease to exist after today.
No, where would the cycle begin, though?
But
the cycle begins today, but ends today, because time is cyclical. Because the
Prince of Persia could debate that with you. No,
but the Prince of Persia had magic fucking time sands, alright?
He didn't teleport. He teleported back consciously through his body. His body didn't duplicate.
Yeah. You brought up the point of my body goes to the past.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't wake up consciously in my own body the previous day.
Well, let's think about that for a second, because I need to break this one down for myself, because obviously it's too great of a concept for my puny little brain to handle. So, I go back in time
quantum physics,
to talk
the land
to myself,
of awesome,
or to give myself a complimentary hand job, one or the other. We're after dark, right? Anyway, so the next day rolls over. You suggesting that I just dematerialize? No. My current self, not the future one, but the one that was there originally, continues forward.
Well, no. Here's my take on that, though. If you
okay, see if you can get this right.
Right. Okay. So here's my take on that. If you do go back in time in that situation where you duplicate yourself, then what you're essentially doing is you're essentially dividing the timeline. Because if you go back and influence your past self, you've essentially just created a quantum duplicate, and in creating a quantum duplicate, you'll create a quantum duplicate timeline, which will be divergent from the timeline you originally left.
That is a theory and is correct. However,
you won't necessarily have to travel back in time again.
The issue with quantum mechanics and time travel and the whole debate about time paradoxes is you just described the quantum duplicate and divergent timeline theory. What we're debating is cyclical timeline theories, where for me to exist today, I have to exist yesterday, correct?
Yeah.
So, if I go back in time and talk to myself yesterday, I will say, all right, so for me, as the past version, as the future version, technically, I have to tell myself to go into the past tomorrow. Because if I don't, then I would have never gone into the past, and then I would have never told myself to go into the past tomorrow. Therefore, the today version of me that goes into the past then becomes part of the cycle if I tell myself to go into the past. If I don't, then I create divergent periods. However,
technically, you've already created a divergent period because of the fact that you've interacted with yourself.
Not necessarily, because we don't know exactly how that'll work, right? Because there's also a theory. There's also a theory that you cannot exist in 2 states at once. So if you go back into the past and you interact with yourself, there is also a theory that you will be in some sort of quantum entanglement with yourself, and you will cease to exist and exist at the same time, which is Schrodinger's
But that would immediately happen upon arriving in the past.
Not necessarily, because there is a theory that all the particles that make up you are entangled in its own timeline and are independent from every single other particle in existence. So the particles that make up you have to travel into the future to then come back to the past.
The thing is, though, the particles that make up you today aren't necessarily the same particles that make up you yesterday.
Not all of them, but some of them. And that's where the quantum entanglement starts to get fucked up. Because certain cells you have in your body break down faster than others. But your brain cells, which are the longest living cells in your brain cells would still be the same brain cells as after your brain has finally fully developed, which is, I believe, when you're like 8 or 9 years old.
Okay, then let me posit this idea to you.
Okay.
You go back in time, you go to a cow farm, you go back in time to, let's say, when you were 5 years old. You go to a cow farm and you interact with a cow, and then all of a sudden your hand is gone because your hand was made out of the particles that came from that cow.
But they don't.
No.
They don't.
Let's say
particles don't exist. Particles don't exist like that, though.
It's something of the sort more like if your particles had some kind of like unique identifier on them.
Yes, but like a particle is a particle. It is the same particle essentially from beginning to end, regardless of where it is. So if what you're proposing is the idea where you encounter yourself and you obliterate yourself, then if you go back far enough in time to where your particles were all scattered all everywhere else, if you come across those particles, then those particles that currently exist in your body, as well as wherever it is that you're interacting, those particles will annihilate themselves. And you could vitally damage yourself in doing so.
No, because
this kind of seems strange to me, because it makes it sound like as if the universe has some sort of like intelligent construct to it, right? Mm-hmm. It's like sitting there going like, oh, these particles belong to something else. Universe laws, police, come, help.
No, it doesn't require intelligence.
What it is all particles derive from the Big Bang, right? It's matter. Matter cannot be created or destroyed. It just transfers into different things. So, like a carbon particle that is like a carbon molecule that is inside yourself might have come from a different molecule to begin with that has broken down through some sort of energy transfer or something. Like, we know that through science. Like, you can take like that was the basis of alchemy and transmutation in like the early early days.
If that same carbon particle went back in time and encountered itself in the past, it would annihilate they would annihilate each other regardless.
But the thing is those particles wouldn't necessarily exist in the past. They are then created in the future,
But the components that made up those particles still did.
But that's not what it is. Is that it's the exact particle itself, because the whole
but you can trace that down right down to the quantum level, right down to the individual quarks and muons.
Not necessarily. And this is the eternal debate of quantum physics and time travel. It's just like there are people with one theory and there are people with other theories, and they go like, "Well, your theory makes sense."
It's debating religion.
It isn't. It really isn't. No,
religion
is
more of a faith.
Anyways,
religion is my imaginary friend can beat up your imaginary friend.
Christina hasn't talked in a really long time, so let's let the conversation.
I was just waiting
for it to
just crash and burn.
I don't think it would.
I can go on about quantum mechanics forever.
The Science Cast with Sarah and Sean.
Very much. Quantum Physics 101, the different theories of nonsensical quarks and muons and gluons and bosons.
I mean, and this is even without us getting into the multiple universe theory. Because does anything ever matter if there's other copies of ourselves out there?
Well, see, I have a bubble wrap theory.
A bubble wrap theory.
I like to think that time is just a giant sheet of bubble wrap. And if you were to put enough energy or focus, and it would be a lot, of course, because otherwise we'd all be doing it right now, you should be able to just phase off into a different bubble, right? The thing is that certain paths are just easier. They have less resistance, which is how we end up just going through a simple timeline. But, you know, you can shift it around if you were to just, like, focus on it. I don't know.
But
it's something I thought about one day.
The problem with that,
this way.
Phasing through reality.
The problem with that is that if you use bubble wrap as an analogy,
Yeah.
if time is the air in your bubble wrap,
Mhm.
when you pop a bubble, it doesn't go to another bubble; it leaves. Which means if you collapse a timeline or if you collapse a universe, then you are freeing up so much energy to go to nothing. And then where does it go?
Well, that's fair. I hadn't actually thought of that. The whole purpose of me bringing up bubble wrap was more of just the visual. Having a sheet of bubble wrap is like neatly organized. You got all the little bubbles sitting next to each other. It's sort of like a grid-like shape. That's the only reason why I brought that up. But that's a fun way of thinking about it.
See, and I tend to think of time. I'm a big fan of the cyclical time, where because technically, if you look at it, the universe from the point of the Big Bang, which is technically where all science is trying to figure out right now, where we came from and what happened with the Big Bang.
If there's anything before the Big Bang or what's
happening. There was an entire universe.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm a big fan of the cyclical time theory, where if our current existence is the point of origin is the Big Bang, and all matter in the universe came from the Big Bang, and the universe is constantly expanding. We know this. There will come a time, billions and billions of years from now, probably.
Where the universe will just dissipate to nothing.
No. The universe will get so big that it'll collapse in on itself, and then it's debatable, yes. But again, it will never happen in our lifetime. So there's But if you just entertain this idea for a second. If the universe is constantly expanding to the point of it will eventually hit a limit where it'll collapse in on itself, all matter will be then reduced to whatever dense object the Big Bang experienced, and all the forces in the universe will then act upon each other and then break apart again.
See,
AKA another Big Bang.
I've heard of a suggestion where everything would turn to iron, because it's supposed to be like the simplest, like most mundane.
Everything would turn.
That's a whole nother subject for a whole nother episode.
Yeah.
We are currently on. So that's anything you want to say to add, Christina?
Science.
All right. So that's all the time we
just
have.
Put up the picture of like fucking Jesse from Breaking Bad. It's like, yeah, science.
Alright, so that's all the time we have today. Be sure to follow us on social media at TOONDISE on Facebook and with the hashtag ToonLounge on Twitter. And if you're a fan of TOONDISE, make sure to support us over on Patreon at patreon.com/ToonDice. On behalf of Christina, Sean, and Axel, I'm Sarah Whittle. Lovers and haters, leave your comments below, and we'll see you next time right here on The Lounge.